So, this is my question. First of all, how old are each of you, and what has your educational history been?
Okay, I'm 12, and my educational history is first I went to this little school who was just down the road from me, and it was a half-time home learner support school, and so I didn't really like it that much. Though it wasn't bad, but I didn't like it at the time, so I decided to unschool.
And when was that?
And that was in kindergarten.
Okay.
So yeah, I decided to unschool, which is basically you don't go to school. Well, it's not. Okay, it's basically where you can decide what you want to learn yourself, and no one tells you what you have to learn. Yeah, so I've been unschooling for 6 years.
So you would choose a subject and decide to do that, or what? What do you mean you decide what you want to learn yourself?
I just learned by experience, by climbing a tree. I learned a while ago that on a cedar tree, the bark is all stringy and crackly, not crackly, all cracked up, and the branches, the thick parts of the tree are crackly and stringy bark, except on the thin parts it's actually smooth, and you can see how the smooth part actually cracks. So that's something I learned. And
did you do some research or something about that too, or you just...
No, I just looked at it and thought, that's cool. And so now I'm going to this IP private school, middle school, and it's fun, and yeah, it's got about 70 people in it, I think, and it's like a school. It's not halftime or anything. I just got my report card. And
so this is your first report card you've ever had?
This is well, not really, because see, I was unschooling, but I was still registered with the home learning school, so I got report cards from there, except no, I didn't get report cards. My mother and I kind of made them about how I did.
Did you have to do tests or something to do those report cards? How would they know what you did?
Well,
did you get a special curriculum or sort of thing, that some sort of direction from the place that you were registered in order to know what you should be doing each year?
No, we decided what we do each year ourselves. We would make a learning plan. It would be pretty rough though. We'd have a few things planned, maybe going to the BC Museum of Anthropology or something. Maybe we'd go someplace like that, or go to acting school. We'd put stuff like that down, but and we put stuff that I tried to learn each year, but mostly it was basically just unschooling. So this is the actual first report card that I've actually officially gotten from a school, and I did fine, well, I guess, and yeah.
So how did you learn? You're in grade 7 now.
Yeah.
So how did you learn to be able to do all the things for all the subjects if you didn't go to grades 1 through 6? Did you do that at home?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Or,
like
like,
for example,
anywhere
how
else.
many hours of math did you do every year? Okay, every week, say.
Every week?
Yeah.
0.1. Well, maybe like
How often did you do math?
maybe like a tiny bit every few months.
You did a tiny bit of math every few months before?
Yeah.
Well, then how did you learn all the math that you seem to be able to do, considering you got actually
I got 6s for math.
out of 7?
6 out of 8.
Oh, okay. 6 out of 8?
Yeah.
But how did you learn to be able to do that math if you weren't going to school and you did a little bit of math every few months?
Good question. I don't know. Because I kind of just explored, and sometimes I had to do a math question. I kind of already knew how to do math. I did a bit of math. I learned a bit of math. Not much, though. I guess I kind of just remembered it
From?
from when I did like math work pages.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do very many though, so I don't know.
So, what is learning?
It's where, well, to be precise, it's where your neurons make connections to other neurons in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, how did you learn that,
less-
for example?
I don't know. I read it somewhere or something. I don't keep track of where I learn things.
Okay.
Because I generally, when I learn things, I don't have to do works cited. Because I just know it. And I mostly, well, the way you learn things is by you see it, and then you see it, and then you look at it, and then you think, now my brain knows what that looks like and what that is.
Mm-hmm. So what do you do to learn?
You sit there on the couch and looking, and you might ask somebody what elbows item. Oh, elbows is pasta.
Oh, you're reading the box in front of you. I see. Okay.
So I learned that there's like quinoa pasta
Mm-hmm.
just now.
Well, how did you learn to read? You just read quinoa pasta.
I did read it. No,
Yeah.
I didn't read quinoa pasta. I just read elbows and quinoa.
I see.
So I learned to read. Well, at first my mother was trying to teach me to read. Made me read this terrible book called Jake Bakes a Cake.
I can tell you as your mother, I didn't think you were ever going to learn to read when you were in kindergarten.
I know, that was a terrible book. I never read it.
Have you
But
read
it
it
was-
yet?
Yeah, I think so. It was terrible. Anyway, they were just trying to teach me the alphabet. And then the way I learned to read was suddenly I was reading the street signs because I actually cared about what the street signs said because they actually had some significance to real life. So I saw this street sign and asked what parkinging meant. And it turned out it meant parking because Mama was like, what does ing say? What does G say? I said, good. And she told me to say it very fast. That's what she always told me to do.
So what about you? How old are you?
10.
And what has your education been like?
Well, Well, I went to preschool, and then when I was finished preschool, Mama asked me if I wanted to go to kindergarten, and I asked her if she was going to do anything fun while I was away, and she said she would do stuff which I wanted to do while I was away because she couldn't not do anything. She couldn't just sit on the couch and wait for me. And then I didn't want to go to kindergarten because she would do stuff without me.
Do you remember what you told me I had to do while you were away?
Sit on the couch and wait?
Just sit on the couch and not do anything except read books you don't like. I couldn't promise that.
Yes. So I didn't go to kindergarten. Then I didn't go to grade 1 because I liked unschooling. Then I didn't go to grade 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Well, I'm in grade 5 now. And I don't know if I'm ever going to go to school, but I might. And I hope I'll do it one day, though, just to try it out. And I think that unschooling sort of where you, you learn from everything. Well, you always learn from everything, but you learn what you want and you have more time to learn from everything. So you can choose whatever you want to learn and you can do it yourself, and you don't have to have like someone telling you how to learn it or a curriculum or something. And like if you were sitting in your bedroom and you one day decided that you wanted to make a that you wanted to count something like the flowers on your bed sheet, then you could count the flowers on your bed sheet, and then you'd learn some math. And you just randomly choose things to do when you do them.
So have you learned to...
Or even just the simplest thing like looking at a plant, you can see like Fibonacci spirals and stuff. And you don't always notice when you're learning things. Well, you don't usually notice, you're learning every second. So you barely ever notice when you're learning stuff, but you're always learning stuff.
So have you learned to read and write already? Mm-hmm. When have you learned that? Like, could you read a whole book?
Yeah, I've done that millions of times.
I love to read really long, scary books.
So what kind of books do you like to read?
I like to read any types of books. I like novels and stuff, but I also like short books because sometimes when I'm reading a novel, if I don't really like it, I get bored, except then I want to know what the end was.
Mm-hmm.
And like if it's a really boring novel, but you still want to know what the end is, it's sometimes annoying because you don't want to have to read till the end and figure out what happens, and you also don't know if it will get interesting later. And especially if it's really long. And I don't really like upsetting things. And
so you talked about being bored with the book, but do you get bored with not going to school and seeing people?
I have lots of other things to do, and usually I'm working on about 10 projects.
With other people or always by yourself?
Usually by myself, but sometimes with other people.
Well, how do you see other people?
I just arrange visits with them.
So most days are you alone?
People at choir.
Or
Well, I have
what's your
lots
life
of-
like? What do you do?
And you do mother's help. You have a job.
I do lots of. I usually have. There's one day of the weekdays which I don't have any like weekly activities on, and I have one weekly play date, at least one weekly play date every week, and probably some other play dates. And I have other things like choir and dance and stuff, which I visit my friends at. So I do see people, but not as much as people would see each other at school, but at school you're not really together. I mean, there's lunch.
Well, you're totally together. You're
break.
talking to each other all the time.
And then
There's even too much noise.
End of
Because all the people
day,
communicating.
but you're not really playing during the school hours.
Well, you play during lunch. You play tons.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't really
Often.
know because I've never been to school.
Generally not during class, though. Sometimes.
And so I don't know.
So what do you think is learning, and where do you do it?
I do it everywhere, every second. And I think learning is where you basically just learn stuff.
He's sitting there making silly faces beside you. It's hard to not laugh. Okay, go ahead.
Well, learning is where you you could look at something or do something or feel something or even just hear a word and listen to what the word sounds like and learn about reading or learn about listening and putting it onto words or something. And you could, maybe sometime you notice, if you don't really know how to read yet or something, you could notice when someone says clang or something, you could notice it might have a G in it or something.
G.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be the simplest thing, like you look at the light and you think about light waves or something. And
Why did you tell me to do that?
it's just every single little thing you do, you learn from, except you don't really know. Learning's just when your brain learns something new and then you know something new and you might forget it, but it's easier to learn again once you've learned it once.
And is there a place where you think learning happens more than other places?
No. I think that learning happens outside more than other places.
Outside
Like
of the house,
in the
or
wilderness, not in, you couldn't just make a little house outside, which is just a shelter or something.
It's the learning house.
And then sit in it,
Well, you could learn a lot.
read your book or something, and not paying attention to anything.
what about in the
Because
city?
it's
What if you
totally
can't get into the wilderness?
Well, you can learn in the city, just a lot, but I still think you learn more in the wilderness. But in the city, you can learn things about speed. If you watch the cars driving by, and you can still learn things
You
about
can learn
the sun
about
and
how
stuff,
cars are built.
and light, and all sorts of different things. So you can learn everywhere, but you learn in different ways everywhere. And I think you can learn especially much in the wilderness.
In the city, you can learn about how the smog is killing us all.
So some of those things, though, are like kind of details. How do you think you learn about, or what do you think are the more basic things to learn? Like, not necessarily how a car is built, but what would be like the foundations of learning? The basic things that everybody should be able to learn in order to be able to understand how a car is built, for example. What do you think?
Physics.
Well,
Physics.
you can
What?
learn.
Wait, what physics? What do you mean?
Neutrons.
So neutrons being the foundations of learning, everybody should learn about neutrons when they're two, otherwise
Yes, because
They'll never know.
I
about
think
neutron stars
when
and
you're
hydrogen
two,
atoms.
you should learn about how your building blocks fall over if you make the tower too tall.
That's very good. You can learn that.
Because then you
You
learn
can learn
about
about
balance
gravity.
and stuff.
You can
And
learn
you
about
can
gravity.
learn about colors if your blocks are colored. And you can learn about, maybe you notice that if you put a red and then a blue and then a red and then a blue, it looks sort of like something which would be called a pattern.
My point is, do you think that learning is possible without it being about facts? Or do you think you need to learn facts, or do you think you need to learn how to be or how to do things?
I think you
Absolutely not.
Not how to do things, because everyone does things differently and they all work
You
perfectly.
can learn how to do things your own way.
You can learn,
You can learn
how to do things
other people's way. You
but
can learn
like
facts.
you don't
can
want
learn
a
anything you
teacher to
want.
come up to you and say,
This is
you
how
have
we do.
to do it this way.
Yeah, you don't want a teacher to come up to you and say, "This is how we do."
What makes a good teacher? When they can give you ideas and stuff if they want to, but they let you do whatever you want as long as they have the materials or it's safe. Or if you want to get the materials, like if they're just some sticks or something and they don't have them in a classroom or something, you can just go outside with them or something. And they let you do what you want and they don't make you do stuff.
A good teacher is a person who can give you ideas and inspire you, and also.
Bless you. Yeah.
Oh, and well, I guess they.
You lost your train of thought.
Well, they can inspire you, but the main point is to be. No, not to be. To keep you safe.
To keep you safe?
No, I don't know.
What do you mean?
It's to basically inspire you and give you ideas and help you if you need help. Are you doing aerobics?
She's just putting her foot on her head while you're talking.
I
That's
don't believe
all.
her. She's so embarrassing.
Okay, one more question.
One more.
Yes, one more.
One.
Only one.
I'm answering it.
That's not fair.
Oh. She answered the last.
I want to know what inspires you. If a good teacher inspires you, what inspires you guys?
Ooh, trees inspire me.
Young children, trees, sometimes physics, but not usually.
Physics inspires me all the time.
Gift economy.
You lost your brother. Gift economies?
Hair.
Children, gift economies, and hair? What?
Basically everything, which is, I don't know, a lot of things inspire
Well,
me.
what are you passionate about? Really love to do stuff
Probably
with.
little kids and gift economies.
Why gift economies?
Because they're interesting and I like them and I think they're important
Mm-hmm.
and that it will be useful if we had some, so I like to do research about them and write about them and stuff
Where do you write about them?
on my blog.
You have a blog?
Mm-hmm.
It's called The Economy of Joy.
Mm.
Ooh, what a nice name.
So you're so passionate about physics that you exploded off the couch when you talked about it. Is there anything else you're so passionate about?
Trees.
Trees.
Trees, I like trees.
Trees.
I'm also passionate
No.
about the wilderness.
I like trees that are as big as my house.
No cutting down wilderness to make gift economies.
Nope.
So now that you're in school, can you still do the things that you're passionate about?
Absolutely.
How?
Yes.
Seatbelt.
How?
Well, I'm not in school every moment, and also I can talk to my teachers about the things I'm passionate about. Like trees
Nice.
and physics.
Why is your arm?
So I think that's all my questions.
Oh,
Is there anything else you want to tell the world?
so
Hello?
No.
But you mean it's over?
It doesn't have to be if you need to tell something else. Go ahead.
That I'm happy.